Good morning. We're on the record. Good morning, everyone. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Code Section 2571 HC of the Open Meetings Act, OMA, I am welcoming you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to guidance made available by the District of Columbia's Office of Open Government regarding electronic meetings held by public bodies. Electronic meetings by the ABC Board are authorized pursuant to Section 2577A of the DC Code. Pursuant to the OMA requirements, notice of today's meeting was provided 48 hours in advance of the meeting on ABRA's website and on the District Central meeting calendar. The notice included the time, date, agenda, and call-in or login information for public participation. This electronic meeting has been housed by a WebEx account provided by the District of Columbia government. Please address any questions or complaints to the OOG at opengovoffice@dc.gov. My name is Donovan Anderson, I'm chairman of the board. I would like to introduce the other members of the ABC board who are also participating electronically. Please respond when I announce your name. Mr. James Short.
Mr. James Short, present.
Mr. Bobby Cato.
Bobby Cato, present.
Ms. Rafi Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, present.
Ms. Jenny Henson.
Jenny Hansen, present.
Mr. Edward Grandis.
Edward Grandis, present.
The board has 6 members in attendance for the conduct of business today, and that constitutes a quorum. Before we get underway with today's hearing calendar, I need to make a few instructions very clear so that the conduct of these hearings is understood by everyone. There are 10 cases on today's calendar. Once the case is called, I will take a moment for IT specialists to elevate the rights of each party to enable their camera and microphone. Then and only then will you have the ability to enable your equipment. If your case is not being heard, you will remain mute and your camera will be disabled. At the conclusion of each case, the parties will have the option to leave. If the party chooses to stay, all cameras and microphones for the concluded case will be disabled. Should you have any questions or require technical assistance during the hearing, please submit them using the question and answer feature. Our first order of business today on our calendar, first case of protest hearing status, case number 22 PRO 00022, Premier Lounge, license number 120372. Ms. Foshman, can you please elevate the rights of the parties in this case, please?
Good morning, and please stand by.
Thank you.
Justin Allen, your rights have been elevated. Naima Jefferson, your rights have been elevated. Jackson Carnes, your rights have been elevated. Mark Pattison, your rights have been elevated. Don Squires, your rights have been elevated. And Stephen Watley, your rights have been elevated. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All the parties, your rights have been elevated. Can you please turn your camera on and your microphone, please? Mr. Allen?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good morning. Mr. Allen, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your relationship to this case, please?
My name is Justin Allen. That's Justin. Last name Allen, Allen. Partner at Premier Lounge, 7307 Georgia Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, are you the only one who's appearing on your side this morning, sir?
No, sir.
Who's here with you, sir?
Everell Campbell, he said his link is at 95%. He's about to get on in a few.
So, okay, when I will look for him, Miss Fashbon, please look for Mr. Campbell once he logs on, please. Thank you. All right, Miss Jefferson, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Naima Jefferson, Naima Jefferson.
And what's your relationship to this case, ma'am?
I'm one of the group of 5 or more.
I can see your background, Miss Jefferson, but what I'm seeing is I see a background, but I don't see Miss Jefferson.
You don't see me? My camera is, let's see.
I saw your background. You have a lovely background, but you did not show up in the background.
Oh, do you see me now?
No, now I don't see you.
Oh boy. Let's see.
But I do recognize your voice, Miss Jefferson.
Oh,
so
we've spent a lot of time together, Chair Anderson, over the years.
I can see you now, Miss Jefferson.
Okay.
So yes. All right. Who else is here? Can you please identify the other protestants, and then I will have them. Once you identify them, I'll have them spell and state their name for the record, please.
Mr. Jackson Carnes is here. Mr. Don Squires is here. Mr. Mark Pattison is here, and Mr. Stephen Watley.
Mr. Carnes, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Jackson Carnes, and Jackson Carnes, Carnes.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Patterson, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Certainly. Mark, M-A-R-K, Pattison, P-A-T-T-I-S-O-N.
I think it's Miss Squires. Can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Yes,
I apologize, Mister. It's Don. I thought I heard Don. I apologize, sir.
that's okay. Don Squires, DONSQUIRES.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Watley, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Yes, Stephen Watley, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, Watley, W-H-A-T-L-E-Y, and I'm one of the protest group.
Good morning, sir. All right, Mr. Allen, is Mr. Campbell, is he online, or is he trying to get online, or can we move forward?
He said can he call in the WebEx or something? I don't know what's going on with his computer.
All right, Miss Foxman, can you please put the login information or the call-in information, please, on the in the chat, and then we can have him
Call in.
Why. Yes, he can call in.
No, it's on now.
You're on. Please mute yourself, Ms. Jefferson.
Oh,
The access code is in the chat, so you can.
Chair Anderson, another protestant, she is in there, Miss Paula Anderson. She said she hasn't been moved over. Paula Edwards, excuse me.
Miss Foshman, can you please elevate Miss Paula Edwards, please?
This has been accomplished.
Thank you. I see Miss Edwards. I'm still waiting for Mr. Campbell. Do you know, sir, whether or not Mr. Allen, do you know whether or not he has access to the information?
He's texting me now. What's the call-in number? I can just text it to him.
Are you able to access it, sir, through the chat? It's in the chat. Are you able to access the chat, and you'll see the number there, sir?
I hit the question and answer chat. I don't see anything.
There is. I'm looking at the chat, sir, and it has the call-in. Well, the call-in number, sir, that's in the chat is 1. Well, you have to look at it, sir, because it's too many numbers for me to read it and with the access code. Do you see it, sir?
No, sir. I don't see anything coming up in my question and answer section.
You know,
But maybe in the chat. It's in the chat.
In the chat.
yeah, look in the chat, sir. Have you seen it in the chat?
The chat function is in the lower right corner of the screen. It's signified by a circle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I found it was at the top for me. I
Right,
got
so
it. I'm
please-
about to send it over to him.
Yes, sir. And you can you don't need to give me his entire number, but just give me the first 3 digits of his phone number so I can have Ms. Fashbon look for that when he signs in, sir. So what are the first 3 numbers in his phone number, sir? Not the area code, or if he doesn't have a 202 area code. Mr. Allen,
Yes, sir.
what are the first 3 digits of his phone number if he does not have, does he have a 202 area code?
His first 3 digits of phone number 240
Okay.
606.
That's so Miss Foshman, can you please look for that number, please, and elevate that person?
Will do, thank you.
While we're waiting, Miss Edwards, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Hi, I'm Paula, Paula, Edwards, Edward.
Thank you, ma'am.
Everell Campbell, your rights have been elevated.
Mr. Campbell, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Chairperson, sorry, I think he's still logging on.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, I see your, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please? Ms. Foster, I see Mr. Campbell on our, he's not a call-in, so I'm not sure, has his rights been elevated as a participant on this WebEx? Yes, I see his name on my screen.
It appears he might be having some tech issues.
All right. And Mr. Allen, I see that you're in a motor vehicle. I would hope that it's not moving, sir.
I'm sorry?
I see that you're in a motor vehicle, and I would hope you're not moving, sir. You're in a stationary position.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm parked and I'm safe.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Chairperson, call-in user with the 240 area code has been unmuted.
Mr. Campbell, can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Everal. Last name Campbell, Campbell, just like the soup.
And what's your relationship to this case, sir?
I'm the owner, part owner.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right, now everyone is here. Good morning, everyone. Are there any preliminary matters in this case? I believe that the protestant had filed a pending motion. So Miss Jefferson, what was the motion that was filed by you on behalf of the protestants?
Yes, Chair Anderson. The motion was essentially to ensure that the process of qualification versus licensing remains separate. We did not want to expend agency resources nor the resources and time of the protestants or the owner before entering into mediation until the qualification issue had been adjudicated. So that's essentially the gist of our motion, was to make sure that the issue of qualification had been addressed, given the deficiencies that were mentioned in our protest letter regarding the application, and then move on to proceed to mediation with Ms. Fletcher.
So you're asking us to pause the protest hearing, and I'm not sure if you're aware that because it's a new license by statute, there is a specific timeline that we have to move forward. So Mr. Campbell and Mr. Allen, are you in agreement for us to pause the protest hearing, or do you want us to move forward with the protest hearing? She's asking that. I'm sorry, who's speaking? When you speak, please identify yourself, please.
Okay, this is Everett Campbell. Yeah, no, we're not in agreement, so we'd like to move forward with the process.
All right, so I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Were you done, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Ms. Jefferson, those are two separate processes in the sense that the board we can forward to our enforcement to do an investigation, but because for a new license, we have to have a protest hearing within 60 days unless the licensee consents to an extension. And since the licensee is not contesting to the extension, what I would have to do then is to make a motion to the board to deny your request.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you repeat the last piece, that the licensee is concurring or disagreeing?
The licensee does not consent to us, because as I stated by statute, we have 60 days. For a new license, we have 60 days to move forward with a process. Okay. And so because the licensee does not consent, then I am forced to make a motion to deny your motion. That does not mean that the board will not investigate if the allegations that were made, but however, the board cannot delay the timeline for the protest hearing.
Okay. Has the board decided to schedule a qualifications hearing?
The board has not done that as yet, ma'am. The board, we're still for all cases, if a request comes in, the enforcement branch will investigate it. The enforcement branch will write a report, and based on what is in the information basically what is in that case report, then the board will take appropriate action. That does not mean that the enforcement branch could make a determination that the allegations are not substantiated, or the enforcement branch can make a recommendation that we have a hearing. I don't know at this junction because I have not seen the report. However, the board is, because a formal report was made, the board has to investigate it. So the agency will investigate the report that was filed, and then we'll move accordingly.
Okay, in our motion, we also requested that our rights to mediate not be waived by this process.
Well, I think what you had asked that, well, so I would ask what the suggestion or what's been recommended is that the parties need to move forward. The parties need to move forward with whatever in mediation. So my notes, I'm informed by my notes that the mediation was canceled. I will ask Ms. Fletcher, would direct Ms. Fletcher to schedule another mediation. So the parties need to move forward, irrespective of whatever decision that the board will make. If there's going to be a qualification hearing, this process needs to move forward, irrespective of what decision, until and unless the board makes the decision to say that this licensee is not qualified to even hold a license. But that's I'm not saying that the board is going to make that decision. I'm just saying based on hold on, Mr. Campbell. So that's basically where we are. I'm sorry, was it you, Mr. Campbell, that was speaking, or who was speaking? Who wanted to speak?
No, that was not me.
Did somebody want to speak, want to make a, and I mean, the only person, I'm sorry, I'm hearing some.
I thought it was.
Hold on, Mr. Whalen. Mr. Whalen, hold on 1 minute, please. Who is the designated representative for the protestant? Is that you, Ms. Jefferson?
Ms. Fletcher told us we each were.
That there are 6 protestants.
Seven.
So
there's 7
protestants, and And I would ask at some, if we were to go to a protest, if we were to go to a protest hearing, I'm asking the parties to identify the designated representative for the group. It will make the process more efficient, because here it is that 7 people can speak. So I think since there's no designated representative, you're telling me that you were informed by Ms. Fletcher that all parties can speak. It appears that Mr. Whalen wanted to say something. So go ahead, sir. Mr. Whalen, did you want to say something?
No, what I was saying was I thought it was Mr. Carnes. His screen came up, so I thought it was him. That it was. I don't want to say anything now.
I know. I see when people attempt to speak, my screen also lights up. That's how I can also tell who does not have their phone on mute. So I'll also ask everyone, if you're not speaking, please mute your line. And did you want to say something, Mr. Campbell? Because my screen keeps on lighting up like you wanted to say something. If not, please just keep your line on mute, sir.
No, sir. I'll make sure I mute my line as well.
All right, thank you. All right, so the motion I'm making to the board is to deny the request from the protestant that we pause the protest hearing. And the reason why we're going to deny it, because the statute says that we must issue a decision within 60 days, and the licensee has not consented to this continuance. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We're going to have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. So that passed 6-0. Are there any other preliminary matters that needs to be raised this morning by either side? There are no other preliminary matters. Okay. All right. This matter then, it's currently scheduled for a protest hearing on June 29th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. June 29th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. All right. Now that we've scheduled this matter for a protest hearing, there are a few things that I would like to instruct you about the protest practice, because since we're now doing all our hearings virtually, the process has changed. As you know, all the board's hearings are conducted virtually, so it is more important than ever that protest hearings are focused and addresses only those issues that are being protested. Following this hearing, you will receive an email from ABER legal assistant Imani Moreland that will include a copy of a protest information form PIP and a copy of an exhibit form, as well as specific instructions for the hearing. You are required to complete and submit the PIP and exhibit forms at least 7 days before the date of the hearing. If we do not receive a copy of your form 7 days before the hearing, your application or your protest may be subject to dismissal. These documents need to be submitted to ABER Legal and to the opposing parties. Please know that these documents greatly assist the board in narrowing the protest issues, facilitating the process, and keeping the parties on point during the hearing. Each side is limited to no more than 5 witnesses, and you will only have 60 minutes to present your case. This includes all direct and cross-examination. The board does not intend to hear testimony on matters that are not relevant to those issues that are being protested. Are there any questions by anyone?
Yes, this is Steve Watley. I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Watley. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question is, when you said that 7 days before, do you mean each one of us individually as a protestant has to submit one, or do we as a group submit one within 7 days? Which is it?
All right, I'm glad I was going to provide some clarification. So this license has been protested by a group of 5 or more.
All right.
And so the group should provide 1 PIP.
Okay.
I know that Ms. Jefferson has participated in several protests before, so I believe that Ms. Jefferson, you can talk to Ms. Jefferson. She is aware of how to do a PIP, and Mr. Allen and Mr. Campbell, You can also reach out to Ms. Moreland, Ms. Imani Moreland at 202-442-6942. She can provide whatever directions and instructions to both sides. But I want everyone to be aware, if this matter goes to a protest hearing, you are required to submit a PIP 7 days before the hearing. So 7 days from prior to June 29th, you're supposed to do that. If that is not done, the board could deny you from relying on documents and witnesses that have not been disclosed 7 days prior to the hearing. As I stated before, if you don't know what to do, please reach out to our office, Ms. Moreland at 202-442-6942. She can provide basic information to either side of how to do, how to fill this form, and how to make sure that each side provides this information to our agency. Are there any other questions by anyone else?
I have a second question if no one else
Yes,
has a
Mr.
question.
Watley.
If the parties have reached an agreement, a settlement
Yes.
agreement,
Yes, sir.
I guess that could be, we could cover that with Ms. Moreland.
Settlement, and the board supports settlement agreements. And one of the reasons why the board supports settlement agreements is that this is your community, this is your neighborhood. And at least you can make a decision that works for your neighborhood. While if the board makes a decision, one side could be happy, the other side might be unhappy. Yes, the document, the settlement agreement should be provided to Abra, our general counsel's office. They will, the settlement agreement will be reviewed by the general counsel, and the board will review it and sign off on it. So yes, if a settlement agreement is reached, then it should be submitted to our general counsel's office. We will review it and move forward. And again, we do support settlements if the parties are able to reach an agreement.
Okay.
Chair Anderson, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, Ms. Jefferson.
So I know that there aren't qualification issues that are raised very often, but in the event that the parties do reach an agreement and there is a decision by the board to have a qualifications hearing, I just want to make sure that an agreement does not necessarily validate the fact that the other party believes that they're qualified.
Well, I am not going to speculate in whether or not the party who is qualified or not.
No, I meant the board's interpretation.
No, but what I'm also going to respond to that portion of it. So the presumption would be if a settlement agreement was if the parties reach a settlement agreement, then the qualifications is not being challenged, and so the board. I would not think that the board would move forward. Say, for example, if the parties were to provide us a settlement agreement tomorrow for approval, I would take that the parties are no longer contesting the qualifications of the license to apply. I'm just saying that would be my interpretation. That would be my interpretation to say that the parties have negotiated and they're satisfied with the qualifications. And so therefore, that is one of the reasons why they have now entered in a settlement agreement for the parties to move forward. The board itself, we do not unilaterally move forward with a qualifications hearing unless there is something that pops out in the application that says to the board that this person is not qualified. And I believe we're having discussions on the qualifications of the licensee based on some information that was brought forth by the protestant. This information was not brought forth by the board itself. I have not seen the application, and so the board itself has not seen the application, so I'm not sure if there are any red flags in the application itself. However, if the board moves forward to a qualifications hearing, it is because of the investigation that was generated based on the complaint that was made by the protestant.
But this is Steve Watley again. But that brings me back to the question, then why should we come up with a settlement agreement knowing that potentially there may be an issue with that? Because if we know once we reach a settlement agreement that no matter what else comes out, the settlement agreement takes precedence, even if something comes out during that investigation. See, and that's what we have to be leery of, because if there's something we feel should be questioned, then if it's in our interest not to do a settlement agreement, because if depending what's found out, won't change it. They're going to get the license anyway.
So, Mr. Watley, as I said, I don't know. I do not know what it is that the investigator will find. But as stated before, if the parties present us with a settlement agreement, I would read that. My interpretation would be that the protestant is no longer challenging the qualifications, and unless we find something that is just shocking to the conscience, I'm not quite sure if the board would move forward with the qualifications hearing unless there is something in the background that legally disqualifies the licensee, the potential licensees from moving forward. So, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but remember, we're moving down this road because of allegations that were raised by the protestant. That is one of the reasons why the board is investigating the allegations that were brought to the agency's attention by the board, by the protestant. Now, I do not know what agency, I do not know what's going to be in the case report. I do not know. I have not seen the case report. I have not seen the investigation. And so therefore, I don't know. So I can't presuppose. But I'm asking the parties the same way you would ask us to put a pause in this protest hearing because of allegations that were raised. And I'd stated as a matter of law, we just can't do that because we have to comply with the statute when to issue a decision. The parties, we're asking the parties to negotiate in good faith. If you believe that I support the parties doing a mediation, but I'm not sure if you're saying that, because if once we do our report, the case report is presented, and if we decide to do a qualifications hearing, the board could determine that the person is qualified, or the licensee might withdraw. I don't know, but then we're still moving forward with our protest hearing. So I can't tell you what to do, but if you legitimately feel, I'll ask that the parties negotiate in good faith, but you can continue to raise your if you believe that the allegations are legitimate, you can continue to raise them, and of course the board has to address them.
Thank you.
Chair Anderson, thank you
Yes,
for the clarification. That was the basis of the motion was there were, in our perspective, some possible oversights in the application review process that would have mitigated it even proceeding to this point. Hence, that's why there was protesting on the qualifications. So thank you for the clarification that you have provided.
Thank you. But I will ask the agency to schedule a mediation. I believe that parties should at least attend the mediation session. and you can raise your legitimate, if you believe that you have legitimate concerns, they can be raised, but we should not say, well, I'm not going to go to mediation until this question is answered, because that's an independent investigation that that the agency will do. And so I don't want us so we're not pausing this protest hearing based on some allegations that are independent of us moving forward.
Chair Anderson, are there two separate reports? Is there a qualification report and then a protest report?
Yes.
Should we move, or are they in one?
They're going to be two separate. So therefore, there will be a case report. The agency will investigate, our enforcement division will investigate the allegations that were raised, and a case report will be generated. And based on that case report, then the board will determine whether or not we need to have a qualifications hearing. At the same time, there will be a case report that is filed for the protest itself. So there'll be two separate reports that will be filed.
Thank you for that clarification, sir.
Thank you. And I prefer people ask questions. This is a purpose. We're a protest status hearing, where if there are procedural questions that folks have, this is an opportunity. This is unfortunately one of the only opportunity you have to address the board before a protest hearing. So that I appreciate the fact that if their questions are concerned procedurally, they should be raised here before the board, because this is actually one of the few opportunities you'll have to address the board directly prior to the hearing.
Chair Anderson, since you brought that up, in the event if the board were to determine that there's a qualifications hearing, do the protestants have an opportunity to participate in that process, or is it just a contested case between the applicant and the board?
It's a contested case between the applicant and the board. So it's a contested case between the applicant and the board, and the applicant so the protestant would not be a party to. I believe that the protestant would not be a party to this hearing.
Would they be able to intervene?
Hold on 1 minute, please. Hold on.
Okay. I know you don't do them that often. That's why I'm trying to get clarification.
No, we do that, but you're asking me questions. And one of the disadvantages of when we're doing this hearing remotely, I do not have our legal general
Ms. Jenkins is not next to you.
She's not sitting behind me, and I can look at her, and then if I can't answer the question myself, she can provide me legal. So sometimes we have to consult the phone to see when my phone is. So I just want to let people know that when I look at my cell phone, I am not doing personal stuff. It is all relevant to make sure that I'm answering the questions as correct, legally sufficient as I can.
And Chair Anderson, I asked these questions because the regulations that I read are not clear. They're actually, from what I read, they were silent on this matter. And so I know that probably Ms. Jenkins has shared with you that I have submitted some proposed regulations just for clarity, so that there would be less time of yours spent interpreting the law and more of just reading what the regulation says.
Yeah, thank you for that. As I said before, you can, I do not believe, but you can consult Ms. Jenkins, our general counsel, and she can provide you more information on the process and procedures for qualifications hearing. But it would be a contested hearing where the agency would, based on the report, and the licensee, the potential licensee would have to respond in that formal process.
Thank you, sir.
Well, if you have any further questions, please reach out to Abra Legal, and we will provide specific responses to you. Any other questions before we move forward? All right. Hearing none, I will direct the agency to again schedule a mediation session, and I will direct the parties to participate in this process. A mediation just doesn't mean that you're going to go there and this matter that you have to come up with some type of agreement. Is that you can have conversations. I'm not sure if the licensee is aware of some of the concerns that you have raised, and maybe in that formal setting, maybe they can provide you a response that satisfies you. I don't know, but it's always helpful if the parties are in a setting where they can discuss their concerns and try to address some of the concerns. And I think procedurally, if the licensee is not aware of some of the concerns that you have raised to us, maybe in the mediation process, maybe that can be addressed amongst the parties. Okay. Well, all right. I want to thank everyone for their questions and attention this morning. As I stated before, this is the protest hearing will be scheduled for June 29th, 2022. We'll make sure that a mediation is scheduled and the agency will move forward, the board will move forward in investigating the allegations that were raised by the protestant, and we will make decisions accordingly based on that case report. All right? So thank everyone and have a great day. All right, thank you. So everyone in the case are dismissed. So we're going to move on to the next case. All right, the next case in our protest hearing status calendar is case number 22 PRO 00021, Union Oyster Bar and Lounge, license number 110747. Ms. Foster, can you please elevate the rights of the parties in this case, please?
The only person present is Shyam Rao. Your rights have been elevated. That is all.
Thank you. Shira, can you please, I can't see you. Can you please, do you have a camera? Yes, sir. Can you please spell and state your name for the record, please? You're on mute, sir. I can't hear you.
Yes. My first name is Shyam, spelled S-H-Y-A-M, as in Mary. Last name is R-A-O. I go by the name of Shyam Rao.
And what is your relationship to this establishment, sir?
I'm one of the members of the Union Hospitality Group.
Meaning that you're one of the owners of the group, sir?
Yes.
Sure. This was a substantial change application that was being protested, and the protestant is not here, and I believe that the protestant had contacted. The protestant is not here. If the protestant is not, since the protestant is not here, this matter was scheduled for protest hearing protest hearing status at 10:30 this morning. It's 11:19. The protestant is not here, and so I'm going to make a motion that this protest be dismissed. And what that means, sir, and what this all right, let me make the motion first, and then I'll explain to you. So I make a motion that the protestant be dismissed based on the failure of the protestant to show up at the protest status hearing. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has second. The motion will now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Penny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. All right, so Mr. Rowe, this is what this means. The protestant will be given 10 days to give us reason why they did not show up today. And if they do not respond file a motion for us to reconsider within 10 days based on their failure to show today, the agency will move forward with the process towards approving your substantial change request. Okay, sir? So that's what that means. But the protester will have 10 days to respond. If not, then the agency will move towards reviewing and granting the application. All right?
All right.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, the next case in our calendar is case number 21 CIT 00289, Food 7 Store, license number 108479. This case has been canceled based on the submission of an offer in compromise that will be considered on the board's legal agenda this morning. The next case in our calendar is case number 21 CIT 00487, license number 105922. Ms. Foshman, can you please elevate the rights of the government and the licensee in this case, please?
Colin Chenchi, your rights have been elevated. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Chenchi. Can you please spell and state your name for the record, please?
Morning, Mr. Chairperson. Colin Chenchi, COLLINCENCI, representing the government.
Good morning. I see that the licensee is not here, but again, because it's a show cause hearing status, the licensee is not required to be here this morning. But anyway, this matter is scheduled for a show cause hearing on June 15th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Just want to remind the parties that if this matter goes to a show cause hearing 7 days prior to the hearing, the parties are required to submit their documents and witnesses to the agency. All right, Mr. Chenchi. All right, the next case in our calendar is case number 21 CIT 00439, Goji Yogi, license number 112322. This case has been canceled due to dismissal by the government C board order number 2022-216. The next case in our calendar is case number 20 CIT 00160, Bullfrog Bagels, license number 112890. This case has been canceled to June 29th, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. See board order number 2022-226. The next case in our calendar is case number 21 CIT 00728, Mirror Lounge, license number 111950. This hearing has been canceled due to submission of an offer in compromise to the board. We will consider this on our legal agenda later on this morning. The next case in our calendar is case number 21 CMP 00079, District Space, license number 112204. This case has been canceled due to the submission of an offer in compromise for the board's consideration and approval. And we're at the end of our morning agenda. And so let us now move to our legal calendar. The first case in our legal calendar is review of an offer in compromise in lieu of a hearing date May 7th, 2020, dated May 7th, 2022 for case number 21 CIT 00079, District Space, license number 112204. And the offer in compromise, charge 1, no ABC manager, statutory authority, DC official code 23 DCMR 2005.1. There is a fine of $250 payable within 120 days, or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid. Charge number 2, store alcoholic beverages in the District of Columbia without board approval, statutory authority 23 DCMR section 2003.1. The fine is a $1,000 fine payable within 120 days, or its license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid. Charge number 3, sold alcoholic beverages without serving food, statutory authority 23 DCMR section 2000.1. That charge has been dismissed. Charge number 4, failed to post license at the event. Statutory authority 23 DCMR section 2005.2. A warning. Charge number 5, transfer ownership without approval. Statutory authority DC Code section 25-405A through E. A warning. I therefore make a motion that this offer in compromise be accepted. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. On the motion, Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 2, review of an offer in compromise in lieu of a hearing date May 16th, 2022 for case number 21 CIT 00289, Food 7 Store license number 108479, and the offer in compromise for Food 7 Store charge 1, no owner or ABC manager present on premises during hours of sale, service, and consumption of alcohol. Statutory authority DC Code section 25701. There is a fine of $250 payable within 60 days of the board's 60 days of accepting the OIC. If payment is not made within 60 days, the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid. I make a motion that the board accepts the offer in compromise. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis was second.
Mr. Grandis is second. The motion will now have a roll call vote. On the motion, Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 3, review of an offer in compromise in lieu of a hearing dated May 17th, 2022, the case number 21 CIT 00728, Mirror Lounge, license number 11950. And the offer in compromise in this case, charge number 1, failure to comply with mayor's order and board's emergency rulemaking by allowing staff not to wear protective masks. Statutory authority 23 DCMR section 810.3. The fine is $1,000 payable within 120 days, or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid. I make a motion that the offer in compromise be accepted. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis. Mr. Grandis.
I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 4, review of the District of Columbia's consent motion to continuance dated May 11th, 2022 for case number 2022-251-00001. This is Luna Restaurant, license number 112284. I make a motion that we grant the continuance and now have this hearing on July 13th, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis was second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 5, review after applicant's request to extend protest petition deadline dated May 10th, 2022 for the case Oasis Marinas, case number 120887. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 6, review of protestants' joint motion for additional time and witnesses application for substantial change. This is for case number 22 PRO 0012. Rose Maria de Italia, license number 109613. This matter is moot. Number 6, review of applicant's opposition to protestants' request for additional time and witness in case number 22 PRO 00012. Rose Marino de Italia, license number 109613. This is also moot. Number 8, review of request to reinstate dismissed application dated May 11th, 2022. This is application for substantial change entertainment endorsement. This is Tora Bar, license number 092074. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
The Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Ms. Grandison, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. Number 9, review of request of protestants' opposition to applicant's request to reinstate dismissed application dated May 12, 2022. This is Tora Bar, license number 092074. This is moot. This now is also moot. Number 10, review of protestants' motion for continuance of protest hearing dated May 10th, 2022. This is for case number 22 PRO 00022. This is Premier Lounge, license number 120372. The board on its calendar this morning voted 6-0 to deny this request. Number 11, review of amendment to settlement agreement dated March 29th, 2022 between the Hanover Area Civic Association, the Group of 5 or more individuals, and Advisory Neighborhood Commission 5E, and Republic Cantina, license number 107578. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 12, review of a settlement agreement dated May 9th, 2022 between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6D and the Green Turtle, license number 120846. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 13, review of a settlement agreement dated May 10th, 2022 between the Citizens Association of Georgetown, the Wadsworth House Condominium Residents and Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2E, and Beirut Knights, license number 120090. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 14, review of applicant's motion to withdraw application for substantial change, case number 22 PRO 00010. This is license number, ABRA license number 109613. I make a motion that we grant this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 15, review of protestants' opposition to applicant's motion to withdraw application. This is for case number 22 PRO 00012. Rose Marina d'Italia, license number 109613. This matter is now moot. We now move to our licensing agenda. The first matter on our licensing agenda is a review application on stipulated license with letter of agency support for a new ABC license. This is for Flavor Garden, license number 121338. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 2, review application for safekeeping of license. This is for Caribbean Kitchen, license number 10911. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2022. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 3, review application for safekeeping of license. This is Russia House, license number 080952. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2022. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 4, review application to extend safekeeping of license. This is for Dance and Crab, license number 090297. I make a motion that we grant this request through September 30th, 2022. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Mr. Short and Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 5, review application to extend safekeeping of license. This is for Dance and Crab, formerly Tenley Grill, license number 117245. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2022. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 6, review application to add dancing and cover charge to existing entertainment endorsement. This is for Trimex Bar and Restaurant, license number 115645. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 7, review application for tasting permit. This is for J.S. Mart Liquor, license number 116822. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 8, review request for off-premise storage permit to store unopened alcoholic beverage inventory off-site at DC Braw, located at 3178B Bladensburg Road Northeast. This request has been made by R&L Bubbles, license number 118815. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Cato.
I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 9, review application for the carry out and delivery endorsement. This is for Embassy Row, Canopy Embassy Row, Super Frank, license number 071165. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 10, review of applicants' criminal history for new ABC license. This is for Valia Yara, license number 121278. I make a motion that we approve this application, or that we approve this matter. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 11, review request for a personal auction permit for an event to be held on Thursday, May 19th, 2022. This is for Whiskey Shop DC, license number 120535. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to our supplemental licensing agenda. The first matter on the supplemental licensing agenda is review application for stipulated license with letter of ANC support for a new ABC license. This is for Swizzler, license number 120932. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Excuse me, Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 2, review application for change of hours of the entertainment and endorsement is allowed by updated settlement agreement. This is for Climax Bar and Restaurant, license number 115645. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 3, review of the architectural floor plans for new Class B full-service grocery store. This is for Foxtrot, license number 121302. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Number 4, administrative request for a refund of $260 to the applicant. This is for Stephanie Mascara, license number 121337. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to our second supplemental licensing agenda. The first matter on our second supplemental licensing agenda is review application for stipulated license with letter of agency support for change of hours. This is for TAP 99, license number 116883. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to the board's temporary license and one day substantial change calendar. And I'm going to read the first 9 requests. I will read the name of the applicant, the class category, what's been requested. And at the end, I will make a motion that the ABC board approve these requests. So the first one is Daniel White for one-day license class F. This is a baby shower. This is on May 22nd, 2022. The license number is 121332. 65 attendees, 2 security guards. Number 2, a request from Stephanie Mascaro, a one-day license class F. This is for a fundraiser, June 4th, 2022. License number is 121337, 125 attendees, 3 security guards. Number 3, a request from James McLennan, a one-day license class F for reception, May 21st, 2022. The license number is 121337, 100 attendees, 3 security guards. Number 4, a request from Chavez, Shavez Rogers, one-day license class F. This is for 50th anniversary event, June 2nd, 2022. The license number is 121396, 50 attendees, 2 security guards. Number 5, a request from Devon Shapiro, one-day license class F, a wedding on May 28th, 2022. The license number is 121376, 100 attendees, 2 security guards. Number 6, a request from Pablo Ortiz, one-day license class F, gathering for 4th of July. This is July 3rd, 2022. The license number is 12130203. License 20 attendees, 1 security guard. Number 6, another request from Pablo Ortiz, a 1-day license class F. Gathering for 4th of July. This is July 4th, 2022. The license number is 121404. 20 attendees, 1 security guard. Number 7, a request from Rockelle, Rockelle Morris, a 1-day license class F, a wedding June 12, 2022. The license number is 121411. 24 attendees, 1 security guard. Number 8, a request from Yernandy, Yernandy Rijo Cordero, a 1-day license class G. This is for festival on July 10th, 2022. The license number is 121355. 4,000 attendees, 60 security guards. And number 9, a request from Chang LLC Uproar Manufacturer A 1-day substantial change event celebration of Pride. This is June 10th through June 11th, 2022. I'm sorry, June 10th through June 12th, 2022. The license number is 117128. The substantial change license number is 22SC00744. I make a motion that ABC Board approves these requests. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Ms. Grandis and I agree. The matter passed 6-0. Now, number 10, number 11, number 12 are 3 requests from Regmo Holdings Inc. This is for pub crawl, and I'm going to read the events, and I'm going to make a motion that we approve this for 1,000 attendees. So the first, number 10, the pub crawl from Regmo Promo Holdings. This is on August 27th, 2022. The license number is 104072. The substantial change is 22SC00731. Number 11, another request from Regmo Promo Holdings, a pub crawl again. This is on July 16th, 2022. The license number is 104072. The substantial change number is 22SC00651. Number 12 is another pub crawl. This is on September 17th, 2022. The license number is 104072. The substantial change is 22SC00730. So I make a motion that the ABC Board approves these pub crawls for Regmo for 1,000 participants. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I vote to deny based on public safety concerns.
Mr.
Cato, I agree.
Mr. Cato. Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Ms. Grandis and I agree. The matter passes 5-1. And number 13, it's a pub crawl from Zigzag LLC, trade name Lime Light. This is for an event on July 4th, 2022. I'm sorry, this is the event date. So July 4th crawl. I'm going to make a motion that the board denies this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, a second motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Cato.
Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis. Mr. Grandis.
I abstain. Thank
The
you.
matter passed. Mr. Anderson, I agree. Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 5-0-1 with Mr. Grandis abstaining. All right, we now move to our licensed administrative docket. On our licensed administrative docket, there are 24 applicants. I will read the applicants, the class category, and at the end of the list, I will make a motion that the ABC board approves these applications. So the first request is a request from Gregory. This is for a personal importation permit application for Gregory James Huete, Huete. The license number is 22 IMP 00017. This is the number 2 is also an application for personal importation permit application. This is for Shannon, Shanan Guinn, Guinn. The license number is 22 IMP 00019. Number 3 is a request from Salazar. They are Retailer C Tavern. This is for the carryout and delivery application. Number 4, a request from Jumbo Liquors. They are Retailer A Liquor Store, change of officer application. Chin S. Shu, CHU President. Number 5, a request from Rose Mariano D. Italia, license number 109613, Retailer C Tavern, change of officer application. Edward Camacho, owner. Number 6, Del Fresco Double Eagle Steakhouse, license number 095281, Retailer C Restaurant, change of officers application. Tillman J. Fertitta, Fertitta, President. Stephen L. Scheintal, Scheinthal, Vice President, Manager, and Secretary, and Richard H. Liam, Liem, Vice President and Treasurer. Number 7, the Phillips Collection, license number 019017. Their Retailer CX Multipurpose Facility, change of officers application. Michelle L. Winkler Thomas and Cheryl A. Nicholas, Chief Financial Officer, and letter of request to remove the officers George Vernberg, Vradenburg, Linda L. Kaplan, Susan J. Nicholas, Thomas Rutherford, and Brian O. Daly. Number 8, the Conrad Washington, D.C., their Retailer C Hotel, change of officers application. Charles K. Waters, Director, and Andrew McGeorge, Director. Number 9, Hyatt Place, D.C., Retailer C Restaurant, letter of request to remove the officers Ross H. Bierkan, Bierkan, President, Carla A. Mayfield, Vice President, and Frederick D. McClap, MCKALIP, Vice President. Number 10, the River Inn Bistro by Butler, license number 120558, Retailer C Hotel, letter of request to remove the entity BH 924 25th Street Northwest LLC and trade name change application. The new name is the River Inn Dish. Number 11, Pergo Gusto, license number 118150 and license number 118449. This is a Retailer C Restaurant and a caterer's license. Change of officer application. Neil Thompson, President, and letter of resignation to remove the officer Frank Sicklesmith as President. Number 12, BH 1600 Rhode Island Avenue LLC, trade name Canopy Embassy Row Super Frank, license number 071165, retailer C restaurant hotel. Letter of request to remove the entity BH 1600 Rhode Island Avenue LLC. Number 13, Holiday Inn Capital, license number 120122, retailer C Hotel. Letter of request to remove the entity BH 550 C Street Southwest LLC. Number 14, the Congressional Club, retailer CX Club. Change of officer application, Charles L. Capito, president, and letter of request to remove the officer Patricia Engel. Number 15, Sushi Taro, license number 009655, retailer C restaurant, change of hours application. Number 16, Retro Wine and Spirits, license number 108135, retailer A liquor store, trade name change application. The new name is Noma Wine and Liquor. Number 17, Chichi, CHER, Ethiopian Restaurant and Mark, license number 090311, retailer C restaurant. Letter of request to expand to second floor and increase occupancy load from 78 to 87. Number 18, 1942 DC, license number 070728, retailer C Tavern, letter of request to expand to the second floor with an increase of 70 occupancy. Premise total occupancy is now lowered from increased from 49 to 119. Number 19, Cities Wing, license number 120841, retailer C restaurant, new ABC license application. Number 20, Chang, license number 120806, retailer C restaurant, new ABC license application. Number 21, Rebel Taco, license number 119836, retailer C restaurant, new ABC license application. Number 22, ABC Server Training, license number 121422, Alcohol Awareness Training Provider application. Number 23, Sura, license number 120971, retailer C restaurant, transfer with sale application. And number 24, Bitter Grace Caterer, new ABC license application. I make a motion that ABC board approves all these requests. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis for second.
Mr. Grandis and Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. We're at the end of our agenda items for the morning. And as a result of certain decisions that were made by the ABC board on our legal agenda, let me now address our afternoon calendar. So on our afternoon calendar this afternoon, we had case, this was scheduled for 1:30, case number 22-251-00001 Luna Restaurant. This hearing has been continued to July 13th, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. The second case that was on our calendar for a protest hearing, case number 22-PRO-00012, Rose Marina d'Italia, license number 109613. This case has been canceled. The applicant has withdrawn the application, and the ABC board approved this request on our on our legal agenda earlier this morning. All right, so we have now, the ABC board has now come to the end of our day. We have now concluded all businesses for the day. I would like to thank all members who participated and members of the public who participated in our hearings this morning. So I will now close the record. I will now adjourn for the day. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, could I have all board members please mute their phones, please? As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Code Section 2575B and 2575B14 of the Open Meetings Act, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting for March 25th, 2022, for the purpose of discussing and hearing reports concerning ongoing or planned investigations of alleged criminal or civil misconduct or violations of law or regulations, and seeking legal advice from our legal counsel on the matters identified on the board's legal license and investigative agenda for May 25th, 2022, as published in the DC Register on May 20th, 2022. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will hold this closed meeting pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. Notice will also be posted on the ABC Board Hearing Room Bulletin Board, placed on electronic calendar and ABRA's website, and published in the DC Register in a timely manner as practical. We are now adjourned for the day, and I will direct all board members to please return to executive session for further action. Have a great day. Thank you very much.